the distinguished speakers, respective participants, and fellow colleagues. Welcome to our webinar on cybersecurity awareness, proudly organized by ILD, Dr. Zharifah, UiTM Kedah. Before we begin, allow me to briefly share the objective of today's session. So this webinar is aimed to provide participants with exposure to current cybersecurity threats and their potential impacts on both organizations and individuals. And it enhances awareness and understanding of best practices in information security, including password management, email handling, and system access control, and also foster a culture of safe digital practices, emphasizing every staff member's responsibility in maintaining the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of university information. Now, it is my honor to introduce our esteemed speaker, T.S. Muhammad Hilal bin Muhammad, a highly experienced professional with over 16 years of expertise in the field of information technology. He has been served in various prominent organizations, including Public Bank Group Berhad, Penang Seagate Industries Sdn Berhad, Unishams, University Technology Petronas, and Digital Penang Sdn Berhad. Throughout his career, he has held diverse positions such as Unix System Support Analyst, IT System Engineer, Director of Information Technology, Head of ICT Infrastructure, and Senior Manager of Technology Infrastructure. So his professional journey reflects extensive experience in ICT management, cybersecurity, and digital transformation across both industry and academia. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming T.S. Muhammad Hilal bin Muhammad to deliver the presentation. Over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You listen to my voice? Nampak suara saya? Okay, thank you so much. Let me share my screen first. Okay, can you all see my screen? Okay, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Zharifah, for the introduction. And thank you everyone for attending to this webinar. And basically, the one that Dr. Zharifah has mentioned just now, it pretty much exaggerate lah, Dr. Zharifah. I'm not that professional, but the things that I have now is just a little bit of experience that I have before joining UiTM. So basically, today's webinar is the general topic is cybersecurity awareness. Initially, when I spoke to Dr. Zharifah, we want to focus a little bit specific on cybersecurity topics, which is digital security essential, of which we will look into the benefits and the importance of deploying or practicing digital security in our daily activity. But somehow that topic's a little bit techy, a little bit technicals involved into the technical terms and technical jargon things. So we believe that before we go deep into that specific topic, we might as well look into the cybersecurity as a general topics. And for that reason, we come up with the topics of cybersecurity awareness. And to be more specific on the topics, I like to speak about the Malaysia cyber threats landscape of what is actually happening in Malaysia nowadays relating to the cybersecurity. Okay, so as what Dr. Zharifah has mentioned just now, this is my experience. This is just a blended experience on the digital infrastructure, basically looking at the various technical and leadership roles across the multiple industries. And a part of the experience on the industries, I also do these volunteering activities, which is setting up this Kedah Tech Valley community within the Kedah. We're looking at the development of the digital community or digital ecosystem within Kedah State. We want to cherish the technical or digital activities within Kedah, not only developing the digital economy, but also getting the digital community to work together within the states of Kedah and look into how to bloom the digital activities within the states of Kedah. And other than that, I'm also doing this industrial advisor at the College Vocational SP1 in Sungai Petani. And also I'm the board to tax for the KVSP Sungai Petani. So this is the agenda for today. I'm trying to do it as simple as possible. I'm trying to avoid some jargon words relating to the cybersecurity. I'm trying to do the explanation as layman term as possible so that each and every one of you here will be able to understand about the cybersecurity. So again, this is not a lecturing session. This is a sharing sessions of what currently being happen in Malaysia, especially on the cybersecurity activities. So before we look into the cybersecurity as the general, we have to understand about the definitions of cybersecurity. So in general, cybersecurity is how do we put together or we deploy the practice of a correlation between people, policies, and process and technology for the aims of we want to protect the organization, we want to protect this critical system within the organization, and we want to look into how do we can actually deploy some activities to preserve the sensitive information from digital attacks. So that is basically the cybersecurity definitions. Previously, when I joined banks about 17 years ago, the term cybersecurity is not existed. It's not yet in the industry. And even if you talk about the security, we're talking about information technology security. And this information technology security has been developed within the IT department itself without having its own departments. And the current trend that we are looking at nowadays is digital economy, and we're looking at the digital transformation. And of course, for that reason, the digital security arise in the blooming area of digital environments. And for that reason, because of the activities of the digital economy, digital transformation, and digital security, the needs of existence of cybersecurity itself is very much in place. And for that reason, majority or many companies within Malaysia are looking at setting up their own cybersecurity departments within their organization. Okay. Basically, if you do have any questions, if you can actually stop me anywhere, or you can put the question within the chat, and I will try my best to answer to the questions. Okay, so basically, if you talk about cybersecurity, we can't run away from these three basic components cybersecurity, which is people, process, and technology. There is a very much important correlation between people, process, and technology. So this cybersecurity basically requires the balance combination between people, process, and technology, because we want to increase the protection level within the organization. So let's look at the correlation. Just imagine if we do have a technology and we do have a process, but we don't have a people. So what will happen? We will definitely have an operation issue, because we don't have people to work on the technology. We don't have people to put process within the technology, and the technology will not be able to be progressed within the organization. So just imagine we have process and people, but we don't have the technology in place. So what we can get is a frustration. Without the technology, we don't have this digital platform. We have to do our daily life. We have to work on the daily life on the manual activities. If you want to do a documentation, you will do a manual documentation without digital documentation. If you want to communicate, we need a platform to communicate. We need a digital platform to communicate. Without a digital platform, we have to find our friend. We have to look our friend everywhere just to transfer a knowledge or to communicate with he or she. And if you do have people in technology, but we don't have a process, definitely we'll establish an automatic chaos situation where people will simply use the technology uh, um, without looking at how to do it, where to do it, who can use the technology. So we need process to ensure that technology and people can work together. And for that reason, the combinations of people, process, and technology has to be placed. For us in the future, we want to look into the digital transformation. And at the same time, when we have a digital transformation, we want it to be protected and we want it to be cybersecurity protection in place. Okay. So um, other than looking at the three components of cybersecurity, which is process, people, and the technology, we also have to look into the CIA triads. This is a very prominent guiding principle within cybersecurity. So this CIA stand for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So if you talk about confidentiality, we are talking about who can access into our system, who cannot access into our system, who we want to give access to into our system, who is authorized and who is not authorized into our system. So it means that we want to protect our personal privacy and we want to protect our proprietary of information. So in order to implement confidentiality within the cybersecurity, we have to look into what are the threats currently happenings in the confidentiality domains. So number one is the cracking encrypted data. So if you want to send an information from one person to another person, we want to send it through the communication channel. So this communication channel can be email, can be even WhatsApp as our communication channel. And even if we establish this online meetings, also a communication channel. And if you want to send this confidential data from one person to the other person through a communication channel, we want that data to be encrypted. We want that data to be securely encrypted. So how do we encrypt the data? We encrypt it through the mathematical formulation. We have the algorithms to make sure that the data is encrypted. So once the data is encrypted, when it's sent over to the recipient needs the key to open to decrypt the data in order to read the data. So for that reason, encrypted plays as a protection mechanism to implement the confidentiality in cybersecurity. So other than encryption, we have the access control, we have the security mechanism like cryptography, we have also in place steganography just to make sure that confidentiality of the data is in place. So other than that, we have the issue with man in the middle attacks on the plain text, meaning someone else being able to sit on tops of our computer networks and steal the information while the information was transferred from sender to receiver. So whenever we have this secure and strong protection mechanism, you name it, encryption, cryptography, or access control, or even steganography, if you don't have that security mechanism at the high level, man in the middle will be able to capture the information and steal the information, and they are able to read the information that being encrypted. And for that reason, the data leaks will be exposed, meaning the person can actually steal the data and the data will be leakage to the unauthorized persons. And the data that is leaked to the unauthorized person, it can be a sensitive data, it can be something that is confidential to the organization. So this can be happening while we run through our browser on the computer, but we are not aware that we accidentally installing spyware or malware on our computer. And even worse, at the organization level, we install a spyware or malicious software, malware, malicious software on a server. So if we look at this confidentiality, it plays an important role to ensure that whenever we establish a communication between one person to the other person, we have to make sure that whoever access into our system is authorized person. Okay, so this authorization can be achieved through a credential implementation. For example, if you want to log into the computer, log into the systems, or even if you want to look into SIMs, UiTM SIM, we have to put in our credential, which is our username and password in order to access to the system. Other example is that if you go to anywhere in around us, if we go to airport, if we want to go to the restaurant, and we want to connect to the Wi-Fi, we usually connect to whatever Wi-Fi available at the airports, at the restaurant, and even at the bus station or the train station, as long as we are able to have an access to the internet, we connect to the internet. So that activities is actually against the confidentiality. Please remember that a free thing is not advisable in the cybersecurity. So other component in CIA is the integrity. So integrity means whatever the information we have in our organization, it must be the same. For example, if I have 1 million ringgit in my deposit account of my bank account, without me doing anything, without me doing any debit or any credit, or I don't receive any bonus split, or I don't receive any dividends from my bank, it should be 1 million ringgit. Cannot be 1.2 million, it cannot be 800 million, it has to be 1 million ringgit. So if we can actually put that amount without looking at changes, so that activities, we call it as integrity. So what are the threats toward the integrity? We have the web penetration for malware insertion. For example, if we have these web systems, and web system, definitely we carry the information on the web system and we play around with the web system. For example, if you do a UFuture, right? We log in into UFuture, we put into information in the UFuture, we create the attendance in the UFuture. That information has to be the same over and over again. Without us changing it, it has to be the same. So if someone else come in and do a penetration on the web, and that penetration allow the malicious activity to comes into our UFuture account and do changes of information within our UFuture accounts. And at the organization level, it can cause the malicious activities accessing to the server and even forging the records within the server. The most things, uh, the most things that we worried about the integrity on the malicious activity is that they do a modifications on the data, they do a fabrication on the data, they can delete the data, then they can even change the data. And if students are able to access into our database, they can change their data, they can change their CGPA. That is against the integrity within the cybersecurity. And of course, they can do it through remotely controlled zombie system, meaning they can actually use a bot system just to do these activities or web penetration over and over again to get the information within our system and get the information within our system changing over and over again through bot activities. Okay, and the last component within CIA is the availability, which is we want to make sure that the system that we are providing to our customer is always there. It's always there. If we look at the internet banking system, for example, Maybank, definitely they have to be available 24 by 7. If they are not able to provide the services by 24 by 7, they have to alert the customer. So that is the importance of availability, because if that system is currently not available, it may cause the owner of the system is having loss in terms of a profit if it is a banking system. If it is a trading system, okay, shut down in 1 minute, it can cost millions of ringgit for them. So availability is very important. So if you read the, for example, whoever using what Unify at home, you will see that in their agreement, they always highlight their availability for the Wi-Fi, maybe 90, maybe 92, maybe 90% of the availability. So that's how the availability is very important in cybersecurity. Okay, number one, what is the threats in availability? The threat that is most prominent is denial of service or distributed denial of service attack. So denial of service attack is an attack by the attacker towards the server to ensure that the servers are not able to provide the services. If you're talking about the services, let's say services of Public Bank Berhad, for example, Public Bank Berhad, we have to make sure that the internet banking of the public bank running 24 by 7. We don't care about the public holiday, we don't care about the Hari Perayaan. We have to make sure it runs 24 by 7, 365 days per year. So if the attacker comes in and do the DOS attacks to the public bank server and cause that system will not be able to provide that services, so we consider that the availabilities are not there. So it's go against the cybersecurity, the CIA triad. So another attacks that may occurs is the ransomware attacks, of which people comes into our systems, they locks our data. So when they locks our data, we are not able to process whatever request from our client to the server. Okay, so when we are not able to process the request from the server, we are not able to provide the data to our client. And for that reason, we are not able to achieve the availability. So how do we overcome this ransomware? Normally, attacker will ask for the ransom. You have to pay me this certain amount of money for me to release this data to you. So that is a ransomware. Number three is the deliberately disrupting a server room's power supply. We have to know that initially or traditionally practice, the servers running on the machines, on the computer machines at the server level, very high-end one. Okay, and this machine, because we want the availability to be 24 by 7, to be 365 days per year, it has to run 365 days per year, 24 by 7, and it has to run all the time. And if you talk about machine, and machine do a processing, and definitely it will produce heat. It will produce heat. So we are not talking about one machine. We're talking about 20 machines. We're talking about 50 machines in one room, running at the same time, producing at the same time, and running 360 days, 65 days per year. Definitely the room is hot. Okay. So for that reason, the server room has to be at the certain level of temperature. For example, it's 10 degree or even below than 10 degree to ensure that these machines are cooling down, and we are able to make sure that these machines are able to work on that certain amount of heat, so that the availability of the system, we can achieve that. Okay, uh, other than that, whatever the things that can block the availability of the system is the flooding a server with too many requests. We have to understand is that whenever we send a request to the server, okay, we for example, we open a UFuture system. Whenever we key in our username and password and we do a submission, and that submission, we basically send a request to the server. Whenever we send a request to the server has to look into the credential. It has to open the request to look whether, okay, this username match to this password, and for that reason, I grant you to access to the system. That is what the server do. So just imagine if we one lecturer do that submission, it's okay. What if 10 lecturers, 20 lecturers, or even 500 lecturers of UiTM do that request at the same time? So what will happen to the server? If that server capacity are able to handle that certain amount of periods, that certain amounts of requests at one time, okay. If it's not able to entertain that certain amount of requests at one time, they definitely go and will not be able to reply to the request. And for that reason, it will also cause the denial of service situations that allow the server will not be able to provide the availability to the system. So these are the CIA triads of the digital security. And these are the principle, the basic principle that normally the cybersecurity professional are looking at. Okay. So far, is there any questions? Anywhere I can, you need me to readjust or re-explain? Any questions so far? No, eh? Okay, now let's have a look at the Malaysia cyber risk, Malaysia cyber threat landscape. We want to look what is actually happening now in Malaysia. Okay, we have to admit that in Malaysia, the cyber risk is spiking. Okay, we have to admit that. So what is the evidence? So this evidence are this one. Okay, number one, breaches are climbing because the trend is upwards. Okay, the numbers of breaches are climbing. Okay, what does it mean by breaches? Someone unauthorized breach into someone's system and to make sure that that system are not able to provide the services to the user. So based on the mindset, mindset is a Malaysia Cyber Computer Emergency Response Team under Cybersecurity Malaysia. They have 175 data breach incident only in Q1 2025. And basically it's a rise by 29% quarter over quarter and 2,058 total in Q2, which is a rise in 24% quarter over quarter from the previous quarter. Okay, so number two, ransomware pressure and public disclosure. We are looking at the very prominent organization. For example, here's Prasarana and other prominent organizations, which I will share later. They are being attacked by ransomware cases. Okay, and for that reason, more organizations are pushing to be reported and remediate openly. Okay. Number three, countermeasure are improving. We do have a countermeasure. Every organization are looking at how do we protect our environments, but the attackers are adapting. They adapt to the countermeasure by the organization. So for example, banks is referring to Bank Negara Malaysia, has blocked RM 399 million in attempt fraud in 2024, and unauthorized transaction report fell 52%, and yet total scam losses remain high at tactic shift, meaning they're doing other tactics in order to deploy the attacking activities within Malaysia. So some other tactics are impersonation, social engineering, and deepfake, which is I will explain and I will share later in following slide. And this is a figure come from the PDRM on the scam issue. So PDRM figure shows that 47,854 online fraud cases with 1.9 billion losses as of September 2025 within this year. So we can see that it's a big amount of money that is involving in the fraud cases only on the September by 2025. Okay, so this is a continuation on the Malaysia cyber threat landscape. So Malaysia was ranked the world 8th most breached country in Q3 2023, okay, with a nearly 500,000 leaked accounts. Okay, so this account refer to the Malaysians account. This is to include emails account, to include social media accounts. This is to include the works accounts. So whatever credentials that we have that's being reported to the mindsets is falls under this statistics. Okay, so business across Malaysia has faced 74,000 attacks per day in 2023. You just imagine you have 74,000 attacks per day in 2023, and alone amounting to 26.85 million for years. Okay, so Malaysia, as of 2024, we are at the 31st globally and fourth in Asia for cumulative breach account as of July 23, 2024. And the government sector experienced the highest number of data breach at 22%, followed by telecommunication, education, and retail. Okay, so this shows that the cyber activities within Malaysia are very serious, and we have to be aware into these activities. Okay, so these are the notable cyber incidents in Malaysia. Okay, some are very prominent. The first one is the Perkeso in 2023. So this is a Malaysia Social Security Organization, or SOCSO. They suffered a cyber attacks on its system, database, websites, and even their online meetings. We have to their situation. We have to understand that whenever our system is being compromised, we have to make sure that every components of our system within the organization has to be cleaned first. It has to be isolated in order to make sure that further cyber attacks will not be happening again. Okay, so the MySejahtera apps in 2022, okay, 3 million user data reportedly accessed in suspicious manner. Okay, these are the MySejahtera apps, applications, the ones that were being used during COVID time. Okay, I believe nowadays they are no more using the MySejahtera. They are migrating to the digital ID. Okay, and then looking at the telecommunications, okay, Telecom Malaysia in 2024, hackers allegedly stole nearly 20 millions of user data, okay, our data. Those who are subscribing the Telecom Malaysia services, either you are using Unify Home or you are using Unify Mobile, your data might be within that 20 millions of statistics by 2024. Okay. And others notable cyber incident, which is IP88, suffered a data breach of customer card data. Okay, data breach meaning they lost their customer card data. And then Asia Group also suffered a ransomware attacks with 5 millions of personal data allegedly stolen. Okay, 5 millions of data. And this Prudential subsidiaries, PAMB and PruBSN, is also affected by the Move IT data theft attacks, with zero-day vulnerability was exploited. Okay, so this is very crucial situation where they're being attacked by the zero-day vulnerabilities, and these zero-day vulnerabilities is basically the attacks towards the rooms of the rooms of unexploited situation within the system itself. So some of the systems are not being patched, some of the servers are not being patched, some of the codes within the system are not being updated, and for that reason, it being attacked by the zero-day vulnerability. And another one is a Prasarana in 2024. It's a ransomware attack by Ransom Hub, where 316 gigabyte stolen data was uploaded to the dark web. So we have to make sure that whenever we submit our data to any subscription that we are subscribing to, we have to make sure that that company is subscribing to the PDIP to make sure that our data is protected by the government agency. Okay, and these are the one that I listed. There are more notable cyber incident in Malaysia. We have Malaysia on cyber alert. Ransomware cases saw 79 phishing 2024, and then we have some bank rakyat issues, and we have this Cherry.com issues, and even the hackers claim massive data theft from ministers and government agencies, and NACSA investigated allegedly breach exposing MyCard of 70 million of Malaysians. And these are the press release by the Ministry of Digital on the Prasarana cases back in August 2024. And if you go to Google and you can search the cyber incident in Malaysia, you will find many of the cyber incidents happening on the daily basis within Malaysia. It's just that they announce that they're being attacked, or they keep quiet, or they just wait for the data to be breached. They just wait for the data to be exposed on the dark web. Only then they will admit that they have been attacked by the attacker. Okay. So these are the statistics coming from Mindset Cyber 999 Incident Response Center under Malaysia Cybersecurity Malaysia CSM. Okay, this is the statistic by quarter 2 2025. Meaning from April 2025 until June 2025. If you look at the number of accidents in quarter 1 is the 1657 incident only in quarter 1 2025. And if you look at the numbers of cyber incident in quarter 2 is 2058 incident, meaning that it's an increase by 24% as compared to the previous quarter. Okay, and as usual, if you look at the report by the MySite, even from the year 2023 up to 2024, and even now in 2025, the fraud remain as a top threats. Okay, so fraud can be categorized in many fraud, which I will show you the categories of frauds. So if you look at the numbers of incident, the 1127 incident is on the phishing activities. Okay, phishing activities mean someone else sits on top of your systems and stealing your information. 341 incident is spoofing. 580 others on bogus email, job scam, love scam, and even BEC scam. Okay, and this is followed by data breaches, malicious code, and intrusions. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at the prominent trends on the cybersecurity. The first one is phishing. Okay, the first one is phishing, or we call it phishing and social engineering. The second one is the ransomware attacks, where is a victim data is very encrypted and ransom is demanded. They encrypt our data and they ask money for us for them to decrypt the data. or they can actually keep the data, or they can actually give the data to the dark web. They expose the data to the dark web, or they can actually look at the data and they can use our data to go against ourselves. Okay, so in other words, any organizations that are being attacked by the ransomware, normally kita panggil dia sebagai dah jatuh, ditipu tangga lah And the third one is the data breach. We have our confidential data and we have our sensitive data, and our data is being exposed to the public. Okay, this can be a data on the organization. There can be data on someone who is very prominent, who is famous. It can be a data of the artist. It can be the data of the individual person. Even it can be a data of ourselves, who is a lecturer, who is the administrator at UiTM, or we can actually, without knowing that we are publishing our data to the unauthorized person. It can happen, of which I will explain later. Okay, number one, phishing refers to the attempt of we steal a sensitive information through deception, typically occurs via fraudulent emails or website that seems legitimate. Okay, so for example, if we are actually if you want to access to the Maybank to you, for example, okay, and we are using a Wi-Fi, and we're using a Wi-Fi that is a public Wi-Fi at the airport. We are logged in or connecting to the Wi-Fi without a credential. Okay, without a credential, we connect to the Wi-Fi, and at the same time, we access to the Maybank to you using that public Wi-Fi. And by doing that activities, we are in the risk, or we are in the situation where attacker can do a phishing activities to steal our sensitive information through deception. Okay, or in other case, if we are being attacked by the attackers into the organization through the proxy server or through ourselves on computer, the attacker can be deceived and looking into our sensitive data without we knowing that they are looking into our sensitive data. So other example is that they can actually log into our system by we allowing themselves via fraudulent emails, or we are accessing to the website that it seems legitimate. For example, if we open an email and we receive a link from the resources that is unknown, and somehow we click that email links, and it leads to the other pop-up browser, and that pop-up browser seems very legitimate, and it asks for our personal information, and we are happily put in our credential in. And for that reason, it also allows us to be phishing. Someone else can phishing our informations. And humans are the weakest link, because normally these phishing activities happens because we ourselves allows the attackers to comes into our environments and looks into our credential data. Okay, and some other intelligence activities used by the attackers are they are using this generative artificial intelligence AI just to draft a better email or do a better face, to draft a better face or create a voice messages and send it to us as if as someone that you are trusted. And for that reason, you give your personal information and you share your personal information to someone else. And for that reason, phishing activities happen. And what are the consequences of these phishing activities? We are sharing our information to be shared outside our networks. Someone else can come in and access into our email. Someone else can come into our accounts and do money transactions, or someone else come logs into our email and send an email using our name to someone else and asking for money. So at the end, we are the ones who's being used by the attacker. Okay, it is coming from these phishing activities. So how do we mitigate these phishing activities? Okay, number one is we must have this security awareness training. We have to educate the employees. We have to educate the users about the risk of phishing. How do we practice the safe browsing activities? Okay, if we receive an email, for example, one day we receive an email, how do we spot that email is the attacking's email or something's emails that is fishy? You might be looking for poor spelling, or you receive an email from unknown sender, we don't know who sent an email to us, or we receive a suspicious email with the suspicious attachment, or we're looking at the agent language. And for that reason, if myself receive that kind of email, I'm usually receiving an email through my phone. I will not be open it immediately. I will come back and sit down on my computer, open it through my browser, and I will do a validations on the email before submitting anything to that email. That is the best practice so far in mitigating these phishing activities. Other than that, we can actually practicing using these multi-factor authentications. Okay, it's along with password. Multi-FA provide an extra layer of security by adding another authentication process. So, for example, if you want to log into your Maybank account, you will put into credential, and when you put into the credential, in order for you to do a transfer, you may need to do another authentication to allow that transfer to be happen. Another example is if you want to log into your email, you might be using your phone, and if you want to open it again on another devices, other than you put in the credential to log into that email, it requires another level of authentication for you to access to your email. And that authentication might be sent, it will be sent to your phone, the one that you usually use for the authentication. And if you allow that authentication from your phone, only then you are being allowed to access to your email on your other devices. So these multi-factor authentications is very crucial nowadays in order to ensure that whoever accessing to our accounts, you name it, either it is email or bank account or systems account, or even a company that is using the single sign-on accounts, they need the multi-factor authentication to ensure that whoever access to the system is the authorized person. Okay, and other than that, we have to look into the spam filtering and spam protection. This is basically practices at the organization level. They were basically looking at the doing this policy on the firewall, looking at the spam filtering, and they will do a protection on spam to make sure that before that email or before that message reach to the client, to the user within their networks, it will be blocked at the organization level. Okay. Other than that, other than organization level, we can do it on the host base, meaning on our own computer. We have to log into computer. We have to do some configuration to ensure that any email or any spam emails comes into your into your email address will be filtered, or if it's not related to your needs, or if not related to your works, or if not related to your interests, it will be deleted and it will be archived forever. Okay, that is the my suggestions on the phishing mitigation. So other than that is the other than prominent trends, the cyber trend is the ransomware attacks. Okay, so again, ransomware, as I mentioned earlier, it is the way that someone comes into our networks, or comes into our computer, or comes into our systems, or it comes into our server, and the worst case, it comes into our database server. And when it comes, it will log the data. Okay, and when the attacker locks the data, you are not able to provide the request or process the request, and you'll not be able to provide the data back to your client, whoever requesting a user to you, because your data is being locked. So how do you want to unlock that data? You have to pay money to that, whoever the attacker is. Okay, and for you to pay the money to the attacker, it is not cheap. It is not cheap. Okay, wallahi, it's not cheap. Okay, it's very expensive. Normally, their practice is through, you have to pay through Bitcoin. Okay, you have to pay through Bitcoin. For example, they ask for 5 Bitcoin. They ask for 10 Bitcoins or 20 Bitcoins, and you have to transfer it from one account to another account for them to release the data. But it is not a guarantee that they will release the data. You spend the money through Bitcoin, pay to them. When they receive your money, they still lock your data. You just imagine if they ask you 20 Bitcoin, how much money you have to invest for you to unlock the data. Okay, so as I checked just now on the markets, 1 Bitcoin costs around 450,000 ringgit Malaysia. If you time by 20, how much already, right? It's almost 10 million, 550, let's say 500 times 20, 10 million ringgit. But it's not guaranteed for you to receive your data. Okay, so there must be a way for you to back up whatever things that you have, and even in your computer, or at the organization level, you have to back up your data, your server, somewhere else, to make sure that your data is safe. Okay, so the victims are tricked into downloading and executing the ransom via malicious attachment or links and email. Attacker might exploit the security vulnerability in software, operating system, networks to deliver the ransomware. So this ransomware is not only they block or lock your data, they can actually do a ransomware on your operating system. Your operating system meaning your Windows, for example, your Windows. If you're using a Linux, your Linux is being locked. If you're using the Mac OS, your Mac OS is locked. If you're using a Ubuntu, for example, for Linux environment, that Ubuntu is locked. So other than that, if you're using a system, let's say you're using a Laravel for your framework system development, and that framework is locked, you can't do anything on your development, or even your network devices. Okay, your network devices mean your router, your switches, okay, can also be infected by ransomware. You just imagine if you do have a backbone router, one router that is connecting or looking at the data movement within the UiTM Kedah, and that router is being locked. All that our data cannot go out, others cannot come in. So that will give an impact to the organizations. So the only things to do is for them, for their mind, is for you to pay. So if you pay, you don't have that guarantee. You will get back your devices, you will get back your data, you will get back your operating system, you will get back your software. So that is at the very high risk. Okay. So how do we mitigate the ransomware? Number one is we have to do a regular backup. Okay, regular backup. We have to maintain regular, secure backups of an important data and store them offline or in the secure or in the remote location. Okay, so basically for an organization, they have to back up the data many times, regularly. For example, they have to back up on the daily backup, Okay, whatever the data that they have today, they have to back up on the daily basis. And then they have to back up on the data over the weekly basis. The data for the entire week, they will back up the data. Okay, or they have a data that is being back up for the entire month. The data for the entire month has to be back up. Okay, okay. Where do we want to back up? Either we set up the offline place, or we set up a room with with the decentralized servers, and we put in data there, or we back up traditionally in the tape, or in the traditional methods in the tape, or we back up data over the cloud environment. Nowadays, we have a cloud environment. We have a Google platform. We have this Microsoft Azure. We have the AWS. We have a Microsoft environment that providing cloud environment. And this data, whenever we back up over the cloud environment. Okay, there are two ways to back up. Just now I've mentioned. One is physically, you put in a tape, or you put into the decentralized machines. So the issues with the centralized machine is, if you have a backup, if you do have a ransomware case and you need the backup, that backup data has to be updated as the one that is being ransomed. So to make sure that the data is up to date, or the redundancy of the data, meaning whatever updated on the production that is being used has to be updated on the backup system. So to allow that to happen, we cannot rely on the offline backup. We have to do it on the online backup. So current 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 activities, or current whatever they're doing now, so the backups is they backups on the cloud environment. So they will have a fresh data, one-to-one data, meaning whatever backup here on the productions that it's being used is backing up on the backup environments. And normally these remote locations, it cannot be at the same location with the production. So the one that I'm talking about production is the one that is being used by the user. Okay. If you are accessing to the U future, if you are accessing to the U future, we log into the U future, we submit the data to the U future, we put the request to the U future, we get information from the U future. The server or the data that we are looking at is the data, is what data we call it as a production data. And that data has to be updated and the same as the one in the backup environment. Okay, because we don't want to lose any data. Okay, you just imagine that if the data is not updated, what will happen? You pay someone, students comes in today, and then they pay their fee for this semester, but somehow the data is not updated in the backup. And then whenever we have this ransomware cases in our case, that we need to use the backup. When we use the data from backup, we see that the student is not yet bayar dia punya fee, sedangkan dia dah bayar. And for that reason, it is very crucial to ensure that the data redundancy in the backup system, number one. Number two is the security awareness training. We have to educate employees, whoever in the organization, about the risk of phishing, the way of how do we want to use the safe browsing activities, and what are the best practice for us as individuals within our organization to help the organization level to preserve our data, especially encountering the cyber security attack. Okay. Number two. Number three is we must have ourselves, we must have endpoint and network protection. Okay. At the organization level, they will practice about the firewall, they will put the firewall at the digital infrastructure. They will deploy the intrusion prevention system. Okay, they will do this EDR, endpoint detection and response, and they will do the necessary at the organization level. They have to build up the policy for the firewall to ensure that whatever activities conducted within our environment is safe at the organization level. But how about us as individual? We are using our digital devices. You name it, whether it is phone, whether it is our tablets, whether it's our computer, everything is vulnerable to the cyber security attacks. And for that reason, we ourselves and individual, we must have our endpoint protection as simple as deploying or installing antivirus within our computer. Okay, so normal people will ask, kalau nak install antivirus, nak pakai antivirus apa supaya saya punya laptop ni selamat? I can't answer that question. The most important thing is that you must have antivirus in place in your computer. It doesn't care. We don't care about what kind of antivirus. Okay, at the very first layer, you must have antivirus in your computer. And when you have an antivirus into your computer, you can update lah antivirus too. Some people install antivirus, they tak update antivirus. Bila kita tanya bila last update, tahun lepas kot. So that is very long already. Okay, so it's important to update the antivirus. Why we need to update antivirus? Kita kena update antivirus kerana antivirus itu perlu belajar what are the trends yang sedang berlaku kat luar berkenaan dengan threats activities ataupun viruses activities. Sebab virus ni dia akan updated regularly. Virus pun update, antivirus kena update lah sebab kita nak lawan that virus. Okay? That's kita punya responsibility. Other than that, we must have a software update and patch management. We have to regularly update and patch software to protect against known vulnerabilities. Okay? So software update and patch management ni pun it's very important. Kita kena update laptop kita. We have to make sure whatever software yang kita install within our computer, either it is computer, either within our tablets or in our phone, we have to make sure dia update. Kalau kita pakai Android, kita kena update firmware Android. Kalau kita pakai iPhone, kita kena buka sekarang App Store, pergi dekat App Store, try to check kita punya update, kita punya software dah update ke belum. If it is not update, you have to update it now. You have to do it now. Go to the Play Store, check all the apps yang you dah install within kita punya computer or dalam kita punya tablet. Kita kena update and do it now. Please do it now because it is very important to update software within our computer. Okay, and the last one is we have to do a continuous monitoring. We have to employ continuous monitoring tool to ensure that there is a real-time detection on the potential security incident. Okay, normally kita akan rely benda ni kepada kita punya antivirus lah. Antivirus will do that kind of things to us. So if you do have the updated antivirus, okay, in our computer, and if there is any infection to our computer, dia akan pop up lah. Dia akan pop up bagi tahu there is a security threat within our computer. And if what you want to do, if you want to isolate, I can isolate it to you. Or if you want to remove it, I can remove it to you. If you want to further investigate, you can do further investigation on whatever the threats is popping up for your attention. Okay, so that is the ransomware mitigation. Let's have a look at the impact of the data breach. Okay, apa akan berlaku? What will happen if there is an impact of the data breach? Number one, we will financial loss. Just take an example of the ransomware. Okay, if we are being affected by the ransomware, we might take a consideration of paying to the attacker. And if you do pay to the attacker, we will suffer the financial loss. Okay, number one. Number two, brand damage. You just imagine a company that is very prominent holding an information of the customer but somehow breached their data. What will happen to the brand? What will happen to their image? That is very important for a corporate company to preserve their brand and image. Okay. Number three is regulatory compliance violation. There will be a regulatory violations to whatever the compliance activities within the organization. Okay. The next is the plunging of share prices. If that company is a Berhad company listed on the board, and if that information of their data is being breached, that might be affected their share prices on the markets. Okay, and the value of the company might be having any issues lah. It might be dropped. Okay, and you might lose your intellectual properties also, because that information, the for example, if that current system is having the IPs activities within your system, and that data breach, it can also affect your intellectual property. Okay, and then customer data breach. Of course, the customer data is being breached. Okay, that data breach is can be coming from the outside. The attacker comes in, or it can also come because of the weakness of the administrator. Okay, some of the administrator, I have an experience looking at one of the administrator administrating the critical server. I don't want to mention what kind of server, but I will just say that someone who is at the administrator level administrating a critical server, and that critical server is hosting a very credential, confidential information, and the password that he is using is ABCD1234. That is a very weak password. Everyone can guess it. Okay, so we have to change that mindset to ensure that whenever at the administration level, it must have the attention on how to handle with the password activities. Okay, and of course, if your brand has been damaged, you will lose the trust from your customer. So that is the impacts of the data breach. So okay, next let's have a look at the Malaysia cybersecurity bills. Okay, Malaysia on our own, we have a Malaysian cybersecurity bills 2024. Okay, so by during last year 2024, on March 2024, we have passed the bills on the Dewan Rakyat. Okay, there will be second read on the Dewan Negara by 3rd of April. Okay, and then by June 2034, we have gazetted this Malaysian Cyber Security Bill, and the force into regulations is by 26th of August 2024. Meaning we have the bills in place within our own country, looking at our own environment to protect our cyber environment from the cyber threats. And we want to protect this against cybersecurity threat, and we want to make sure that the cyber incident within Malaysia is decreasing or under control. Okay, number one, we want to also to protect our personal data. We want to hold entities, whoever that conducted these cybersecurity activities, we want to hold them accountable, and we want to make sure that they are being they will be fined by the government of Malaysia. Okay, so this is a mandating compliance with the cybersecurity standard. We are looking at the ISO 27001. We're looking at the ISMS, Information System Management System, ISMS. We're also looking at the Bank Negara level, the risk management in technology in IT, RMIT. So this Malaysian security bills is reading together with the ones that I've mentioned earlier. Okay, and the fines for this is up to 500,000, or that's in amounts of the USD, and the imprisonments up to 10 years. So why do we need to know this? Because we are the one who contributing whatever the cyber security, but whatever the cyber activities within UiTM, okay, within our environment, even within UiTM Kedah, okay. And one day, one of us might be at the tops of the university level, might be the vice chancellor, might be whoever at the top of the university level. And bear in mind that the fines up to 500K will go directly to the whoever at the tops of the organization. If you are the CEO, someone's within the organization do these cybersecurity threats, and the one who being fined is you as a CEO, or you as a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, or you as a Chief Operating Officer, whoever at the administration or the management level of the organization. Okay, and for that reason, looking at the security bills and also the ISMS and even the ISO, it is mandatory within an organization to perform this cyber security awareness to whoever within the organization. All right. So who are the ones who's being affected by these cybersecurity bills? So we have 11 national critical information infrastructure sector. Those are the sectors. We have a government, we have banking and finance, we have transportation, defense and national security, information, communication, digital, healthcare, water, sewerage and waste management, energy, agriculture and plantation, trade, industry and economy, science, technology, and innovation. Cool? Okay. So as of ourselves, we are in education sector. I assume that we falls under government lah, number one, because we are not belong to the others. We are not belong to banking. We are not a defense and national security sector. We are not in healthcare. We are not in energy. We are not in trade. We are not in science, technology, innovation. I assume we are in the government sector. Okay, so uh, there are an appointment of NCIA sector leads and entities face numerous obligations under this bill. Okay, providers of cyber security service are subjected to licensing. Okay, we must do a licensing provided by the cybersecurity or cybersecurity Malaysia. So what are the duties of these NCIA entities? Those entities, the 11 entities, we have to comply with the code of the practice developed by the sector, leads. So as the education sector, we have to comply to the code of the practice leads by the government sector. Okay, and obligation to conduct periodic cyber risk exercise and assessment. Okay, we should have risk exercise, and we should have risk assessment within our organization. Okay, that is our obligation. Okay, and then reporting requirement in the event of incident. So we have to report if there is any cybersecurity incident happen within our environment. As simple as we have to report to the IT departments of our organization, or we can actually report that cases to the Cybersecurity Malaysia for helps through our IT departments, or we can actually look into other entities which is this in NCRA sectors that can actually help us into the solving this issue. We will look into the hierarchy of the NCII. Okay, so this is the governance structure of NCII. Okay, we have the Chief Executive of National Cyber Security Agency, which is NACSA. Okay, and then this NACSA is actually reporting to the National Cyber Security Committee, and within that National Cyber Security Committee, chaired by the Prime Minister. Okay, and whoever that is the members of the committee might be the army, will be the police PDRM, the NACSA itself, Cybersecurity Malaysia, those who are related to the cybersecurity activities. Okay, And then we have the NCII sector lead. We have the sector lead for the government. We have sector lead for the science and technology and innovation. We have sector lead for the healthcare, and we have sector lead for each of the NCII. Okay, and we have the NCI entity, and we have all the computer and the computer system within the NCII entity. So this is relating to the computer and computer system, if UiTM in UiTM, the entire UiTM. This is to include our computer and our computer system. This is also include into our mobile devices, our handphone, because we are connecting to the UiTM Wi-Fi. Okay. And this is the one, the penalties under security bills. Let me try to have a zoom a bit. Okay. You have the cybersecurity service licensing. You see that is the fine, 500 million with 10 years. And then the breach condition imposed on cybersecurity provide license, 100,000 with 2 years. And then you have these obligations on the NCII, 500 with 10 years, 200 with 3 years. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to share this in details. I will pass this to everyone to have a look at this penalties under this cybersecurity bills in 2024. Okay. So what is the opportunities and benefits if we have these security bills? We can strengthen our critical infrastructure protection. Okay. So this critical infrastructure protection is referring to our physical infrastructure, our networking, okay, and also the computer system, the system that is hosted by the whoever falls under the critical information infrastructure sector. Okay, we want to expand that demand on cybersecurity services. Okay, we want to establish the cybersecurity services within our country. Okay, not only to help the Malaysian governments, but also complementing whatever that has been done by the NACSA, what have been done by the Cybersecurity Malaysia, what have been done by the every state's government within Malaysia. We want to expand. We want to make sure that the cybersecurity services is being backed up by everyone within the country, and there will be a workforce growth. Okay, surge in demand for the cybersecurity professional. We need the cybersecurity professional in place to help the government to comply with the cybersecurity bill or to implement the cybersecurity bills, because nowadays we are in the very midst of having the cybersecurity professional. And licensing for cybersecurity provider, we will do a licensing requirement, create an opportunity for reputable provider to distinguish themselves. Okay, I'll do fast because we have another thing around 30 minutes to go. So next is the career path in cybersecurity. You may want to cascade down or share this information to your friend, to your family, to whoever that has the interest in joining the computer science and IT environment as the cybersecurity professional. We have currently in Malaysia 15,000 active cybersecurity professional, but we still need more. Basically, by 2025, we're looking at having 25 workers or professional in cybersecurity, and this area has very high in demand due to the evolving of the cyber threats. So this is a news you can refer to. Okay, this is a cybersecurity career roadmap. Okay, you will have the network penetration tester, mobile penetration tester, web penetration tester, application penetration tester, bug bounty hunter, red member team, and exploit developer. Those are the positions that is currently available in the markets nowadays in the industry, and each of these position in industry require the important skill and very specific skill in order to achieve that very high level of cybersecurity professional. Okay, so for non-technical, we have the career opportunity for those who are in the technical path, which is those who are in the computer science, those who are in information technology, those who are in the computer engineering, looking at the technical activities or technical areas on the cybersecurity. Other than that, we have the cybersecurity career for non-technical. You can actually focus on the data science, focus on cybersecurity. These data sciences will look into the activities of analyzing of data, looking at the threats data, and developing a threat models and create a security reports. And you can go for certification. There will be a data science certification or machine learning or certification. So we have plenty of training available in the markets. You can go to Udemy, you can go to the Zictron, you can go to other places that providing training for the cybersecurity, and you'll see that majority of the trainings are looking at the programming in Python, is also data analysis. And for that, you need the skills on data analysis, you need the a little bit or a very fundamental understanding on the machine learnings, and a little bit of skill in doing this programming. And now this programming are not a hard code. You can actually go not really a hard code. You can actually do these easy codes without looking at the code, but you can just do some things like very combining the blocks in order to create this system coding. Okay, and then you need to have a soft skill. Yeah, you must have problem solving, adaptability, and also communication. Other than that, we have this cybersecurity. Other than that, cybersecurity career for non-technical. AI engineer is focused on cybersecurity. Okay, so this AI engineer, artificial intelligence, develop a AI solution untuk detect cyber threats ataupun you do the incident automations. This one is to enhance the security of the organization. Basically, these kind of certifications come from the partner. Okay, not this not the system integrator, come from the partner. For example, from AWS or Microsoft or Lenovo, a prominent partner within this AI punya industry. So you require trainings on the machine learning, require trainings on neural networks and AI security, and you need the knowledge on AI, machine learning programming, and also problem solving, critical thinking, and innovation for soft skill. Okay. Other than that, you can be the cyber security awareness professional. You want to educate a person. You want to educate employees and publics on the safe cybersecurity practice and to create the awareness programs. So for that, you also have this certification, which is the CCAP, SSAP, and SCS, Security Awareness, Culture, and Professional SASCP. And then you are required to develop the awareness program for security trainings. The required skill is the development of awareness program, security knowledge, and the soft skill that you need is communication skill, empathy, and creativity. Okay, this is the last one. I hope this is the last one. How do we stay safe online? Okay, this is just a tips for everyone. Okay, we don't want to give out any information about ourselves. This is to include our names, address, phone number to whoever the people that you meet online, unless you know them personally or you know them physically. Okay, bear in mind one data about yourself. Meaning, for example, your phone number. Your phone number alone, it is not information. If you have a phone number with your name, it's become information. If you have phone number, your name and address, you have a stronger information. If they have a complete information about you, you are vulnerable in digital world. Okay, bear in mind, if you are using social media, you upload your video on social media, name it, you upload on TikTok, you upload on Instagram, you upload your video on Facebook, or you upload a video, image of yourself, your picture on the social media. But after 1 week, you think that I should delete this picture. And even if you delete that picture or you delete that videos on your social media, it will still be there forever, even if you deleted it. Because every time you post everything on your social media, you have created your digital print, and that digital print will be there forever. Okay, even if last 5 years you post in the social media, in your Facebook, saying that I'm going to Jakarta for this and this and this, and that attacker is actually combining that information. You post another post saying that you buy this house, and you post another saying that you have this kind of car, and that attacker will do a connection, connecting the dot about yourself, and that connecting dots about yourself will be there in digital environment, and it will be there forever. Don't send a picture of yourself, your fair friend or family to someone you meet on chat with online. You met someone online without knowing who, you send your pictures. Don't do that. If somebody says some things that worries you or want you to send you something, ask your parent or someone elderly, or if yourself, think twice before you send anything. Or you can ask your husband, ask your wife, ask your friend who has a better knowledge or experience in handling all these kinds of the um, uh, uh, activities. Okay, I do have experience looking at one person who has retired with a KWSP amount 3 million ringgit in the KWSP, but somehow falls in love with someone from Nigeria without knowing who, without meeting him personally, and she happily sent that 3 million ringgit to that guy, and after that guy has received that 3 million, he's gone. And what will happen to that person? She lost 3 million ringgit just like that. Okay, and don't open up email or file or website link from people you don't know. You receive unknown email, don't open it. Okay, okay, and also never give your password to strangers. Okay, never give out personal information about your parent, personal email, website, instant messaging, chat room, message board, especially when you unsure. Okay, remember that people online may not be who they are. Someone could say they are 12, but in real they could be a man, right? Okay, last key takeaways. All right, rising cyber threat, digital transformation in Malaysia will likely increase the exposure to cyber threats. Okay, if you go anywhere in Malaysia, they are talking about digital transformation. They want to transform from manual to digital. They want to do everything in digital. If you do it in digital, you will be exposed to the cyber threats. Okay. Number one. Number two is cyber security bill. The new bill is set to strengthen Malaysia's cybersecurity infrastructure by mandating compliance with specific cybersecurity measure, standard, and process. Number three is cybersecurity gaps. The demand for skilled cybersecurity professional will continue to grow. This is a very big prospect, especially for the our next generation. Okay, if they do have the interest in the cybersecurity, go ahead and look into how to skill them as the cybersecurity professional. And this is the most important one. We have to be cyber literacy. We must have the cyber security. We must be aware of the cyber security. We have to be aware that cyber security is vital. We want to protect our personal data. We want to prevent ourselves from becoming the victims of cybercrime, and want to live in the secure digital space. I guess that is my presentation. So we have reached at the question, feedback, and discussion. If you do have questions or feedbacks or discussions on the topics, it is most welcome to everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir, I have one question. So do you hear
Okay.
me?
Can. Yeah, sure.
Okay. I am the one who also being attacked by ransomware last 3 years because I installed the new software in my computer. So to decrypt the data, I need to pay lah. But somehow I didn't pay and just go to the what we call it format semula lah. Then how my question is other than I install the new software in my computer, which other way the ransomware can come to our computer, can come to our uh, server or what else?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zharifah. First of all, congratulations for getting ransomware. Okay. Basically, someone who is very lucky enough lah to get this ransomware. So for us, whenever you get the ransomware, there is no turning back. There is no turning back. You can't do anything on your data. Okay. Uh, Other than, even if you have the money, you want to pay, uh, it is not enough to overcome the ransomware. Okay. It is good. That is the best practice for you as individual. If you are infected by ransomware, what you can do is you have to format your PC lah. You have to format the computer. Okay. The best practice is, as I said earlier, the best practice to mitigate the ransomware is to preserve our digital data. So to preserve our digital data is we have to make a copy of our data to somewhere else, to somewhere else. The one that we are using is what we call as a production data. The production data is the data that we are working on a daily basis. We change the data, we move the data, we add the data, we delete the data that is within our production. The one that we safekeep is the one that we backing up. If there is anything happen within the production, we have the backup one to replace whatever we do. Okay. But the issues is, as I said earlier, is we have the redundancy issues. The ones that we are doing now, or working on the data now is not as updated as the one in the backup. And for that reason, to do that, we must use, I can suggest that we use the digital platform. We have our own digital platform. For example, our Google Drive, as simple as Google Drive. That is our digital platform. If there is any changes in our data or in our documents, and you it, and that updated has to be uploaded and replaced in our digital platform. So that is the best practice as of now in our environments as the lecturers within the UiTM. Okay, I hope that answered the question. Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, so someone who want to ask, you may unmute and start to ask, or you may use chat box to ask. Okay, I think that there is no question because the sharing session from TS Muhammad Hilal bin Muhammad is very insightful and informative. Okay, so your presentation has given us a deeper understanding of the importance of cybersecurity, the evolving nature of digital threats, and the practical steps we can all take to protect our data systems and organizations. So to all participants, we hope today's session has enhanced your awareness of cybersecurity practices, not only as ICT users, but also as responsible members of the university and committee. Let us remember that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility, and every small step we take contributes to safeguarding the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of our institutional information. So, on behalf of ILD UiTM Kedah, we extend our heartfelt appreciation to TS Muhammad Hilal bin Muhammad for his time and expertise, and to all participants for your active involvement throughout this webinar. Before we officially conclude today's webinar, we would like to capture this memorable moment together. Ladies and gentlemen, may I kindly invite everyone to turn on your cameras for a quick photo session. So your participation means a lot to us, and we'd love to have everyone smiling faces in this group photo. Okay, we will give a few moments for everyone to get ready. Please ensure your camera is on and your face is visible. Okay, all right. Everyone looks great. On count of three. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, another one. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Smile. All right. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Before we conclude, please ensure that you have completed the attendance or feedback form to record your participation in today's session. Bear in mind the attendance is only for the staff only. Okay, once again, thank you everyone for joining us. Stay safe, stay alert, and let's continue to foster a culture of cybersecurity awareness in our workplace and beyond. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Salam warahmatullah.